online platforms and new skills demand are changing how knowledge is created, shared, and accessed. In Nigeria today, conversations around education are increasingly linked to connectivity, digital skills, and inclusion. And the regulatory bodies like the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, have repeatedly emphasized that without broadband access, digital literacy, and youth participation, education risks leaving millions behind. So this morning we are asking, what does youth co-creation in education really look like? And what are regulators and stakeholders saying? And how does this conversation affect Nigeria's future? We are joined by Mary Colette Osaji. Hope I'm Osaji. Okay. She's a communications professional and SDGs advocate focused on advancing quality education and gender equality. She's passionate about leveraging strategic communication to drive social change and shape narratives that matter. And that's the reason why we have brought her here today. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Or MC. I think MC for short.
It's
so that will be better.
Good morning. Thank you.
So let's just go straight to the business of the day.
Okay.
When we talk about co-creating education, when we talk about co-creating education in today's digital world, what does that really look like in practical terms? When I talk about, we've had education, co-creating, and all of these things like as a buzzword now. But beyond that buzzword, how should learners, how should educators, how should institutions be working together differently?
Okay. You talked about the fact that there's a technological advancement and tilt towards AI and digital learning. So I think that we need to restructure our educational system and ask questions from the people who are the stakeholders, who are the consumers of these policies that we make. Let's just sit up there and make policies, but ask them, how do you want to learn? These answers will help provide solutions that are practical. Let's not just make policies. Ask students, ask educators as well. Okay, how does this affect you? What can be done so that the policies that are made can fit into today's world, so that it can also increase employability and all of that. But also, beyond asking them, we need to also bring in students and youth or students and bodies into policy making. Okay. I think that's very important. And then studies have shown that there's been an increase in youth involvement in policy making, but beyond just including them and hearing their voices, they need to also include their, whatever contributions I've made into whatever is implemented at the end of the day. So don't just ask youth and student bodies what can be done, but actually implement their contributions. Let it not just be come and say and then it ends there.
Interesting. I'll pick two things there. Ask the learners how they want to learn, and inclusion, and those policies which youth are included in must be implemented.
Right.
Very impressive. But I will say that in recent years, youth participation has shifted from being seen as optional to being described as should I say essential in education reform. So why is youth involvement so critical now, and what has changed compared to the past?
Changing times. In the past, okay, let me put it this way. You're making policies and you're making decisions for us. The times have changed. We are now in a technological era. AI is taking over everything. So it is important. What's your question again? It is important.
Why is youth involvement so critical now, and what has changed compared to the past?
Right. So it's important to bring youth involvement because we can no longer operate based on, old curriculum and old ways of doing things. If we do not shift, it means that we'll be leaving our youth out, and youth involvement would not be at par with other parts of the world. So it's important to, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does to an extent. I don't know, Mary, if you have anything to,
Actually, I have one important question I want to ask here, and that is, how does internet access directly influence learning outcome in Nigeria today?
I think with digital learning as a thing, with AI taking over, if we do not have internet, how do we even... So it's really, really important. It's important for it to not just be made available. It's important for it to be affordable. Affordability of the internet is also very important for students. Because think of an environment today. I'm a student. I mean, learning continues. But
Of course.
if you don't have access to internet today, how do you even... It just compresses time for you when you're studying, because before you have to consult so many books and all of that, but today there's just availability of a lot of information that is accessible with the help of internet. So I think internet is a very important and critical factor in today's digital learning.
Okay, but let me ask you a very practical question here.
Okay.
So we've been seeing so many reforms in the educational sector, especially with the new Minister of Education
True.
coming into, power. We've seen, was this Tutu, how did he put it?
EdTech.
So many
Okay.
TVET, we are seeing
Okay.
so many transformation, and recently, I think there's a reform concerning the reuse of old text books, so many things. But now we are talking of technology, and there are so many reforms too about concerning technology too in Nigeria. So technology is evolving, and we know it's evolving. And do you think our current education system is adapting quickly enough to keep up with these changes, or are we just lagging behind, or are we still in the rat race or the tail end of the rat race?
Quite frankly, compared to other, parts of the globe, I don't think that we are progressing at the speed that we should. I mean, it's agreed that changes are happening, and the current minister is doing a lot. I think so, especially in talks. But we need to see we need to see the application. Yes, do you get? So we need to see these things being enforced, let it happen. Let us just be, you gather and all of that, make policies, but we need to see the practicalities and application of what you've, all the policies that you've made. So I think that compared with other parts of the world, agreed we are making progress, but not at the speed that we should. I mean, considering that it's a digital age.
Okay, stay around that, but now let's move to the theme of the of this year's celebration.
Okay.
Co-creating, youth co-creating when it comes to education. So I'm just thinking, because over time, I myself, we as youths, we have been, advocating, especially on social media, education here, basic education this, basic education that. So I really want to understand. A lot of young people have been engaged. A lot of young people have been engaged. So does this engagement, does this advocacy for basic, good, proper education, basic education, does it just only happen on, social media? And then how do you think youth voices can continue to, be meaningful? How can they contribute meaningfully to the conversation? When we talk about education, how can they contribute meaningfully so that we can see practical, reforms, just like you said, that the government's own is just on paper, it's just talks. But how can youth now contribute meaningfully so that it won't just end at talks?
I also mentioned that there's been youth inclusion in policy making, but let's not just stop when it goes beyond including their voices in making policies, and you carry them through the implementation process, and there's a feedback system. Okay, we're not just things, because it goes beyond Abuja, it goes beyond city centers. What happens to those rural areas? We need to follow through with the policies that I've made, and we need to include youths in this follow-through process to make sure that they are implemented. I think that will also help our advocacy beyond social media and bringing it to real life.
Okay, so Mary, do you have a question from your end? But
from the explanation you've given so far, that's wonderful. So My question is, what risks do we face if our voices are ignored in education planning? What are the risks we'll face if we are ignored while forcing out?
So we youths, that's what you mean, right?
Yeah, we youth. What are the risks?
I think the greatest risk is the future. Because truthfully, the youths are the future. And eventually, people who are in government and making the policies are going to fade out. So if we do not include the youths in the process, who do you hand over to? You're going to hand over to people who are inept because you didn't, bring them into the process, from the beginning. So you just hand over. So the future is at stake if they don't bring youth into the decision-making process.
Okay. Let me ask this question that we always used to, we've been asking, I think since the beginning of 2025, we've been asking a lot of people this question. And I mean, it's a question that I've been asked to so many people all over the world, even me. So I puzzled and I asked myself, like, okay, is AI going to take away my job? And this is because you mentioned, digital skills and whatnot, and how we have to move with, time. And I just want to ask, first of all, digital skills digital skills are most likely presented as the solution to unemployment currently. So, how should I put it now? In real terms now, how do you think structured digital skills training can help reduce unemployment among young Nigerian youths?
How do you think structured digital...
Among young Nigerians, rather. How do you think a structured digital skills training can help, overcome that unemployment gap for young people in Nigeria?
You started with asking, is AI going to take over your job?
Let's start with that.
I think...
Because that's why it brought me to that question, because it's more like they're pushing, digital skills now, as, the solution to all of those unemployment issues. So I'm just thinking, and people are there asking, okay, AI, because AI is a digital, tool. So I'm just thinking, okay, is it going to take away our job? Is it good? Is there more good or harm to this? Or
I think that it cannot replace humans.
Okay.
It's just an aid.
Okay.
But what we can do is make sure that we equip ourselves enough to be able to use this aid. Otherwise, we'll fade out.
Okay.
So AI will not take over your job because it can't take over your job. But it will help make your job easier. I think that's the goal. And your second question was
coming down to how these skills now can, help bridge that unemployment gap for young people in Nigeria.
I'm trying to understand the question. It sounds simple, but I'm trying to find the best approach to, answering it. How do you think digital skills can help reduce unemployment?
Creation, all of these skills now. What do they call this one? Artificial assistants,
virtual assistants, and all of that. It seems like you're asking the question and answering it already.
Okay.
So
I'm giving you
truly, right?
Okay, yes.
But like you said, digital tools is what can help bridge unemployment because the world has gone global. Employability today is beyond our local, environment. You can work anywhere from anywhere. So if youths of today can be able to, get digital training that is suitable and applicable for today's society, it will greatly and to a large extent bridge unemployment.
Okay. So coming back to your main domain, or how should I put it, NGOs, yes, advocacy and whatnot. So how do you think, NGOs, CSOs, foundations, especially those that are concerned with education, how do you think they can, what's their responsibility? How do you think they can help in supporting youth-driven learning and innovation?
We cannot just leave it to the government, and that's why it's important. Those are just doing greatly in those areas. Those are just doing greatly in those areas. They go to remote areas, they try to make their contributions, and as long as they keep at it, I think that it's not just the role of the government. So they play an important role in helping to push digital education and.
Okay, interesting. So finally,
what responsibility do private sector players have in supporting youth
right
learning?
It's almost similar to, what
Yes,
you
let's
just
just go
asked,
to
but
the last
Yeah.
question because we don't have time. Again, I think let's just look ahead. Let's just look ahead. If Nigeria is serious, about the future, proving its, educational system should be the best and should compete among
Other
in the,
global-
on the global stage. So what are the key areas should we be prioritizing right now?
in terms of education,
Yes.
digital,
obvious.
yes, digital, education is important. We need to go beyond classroom learning. We need to provide affordable and accessible internet for students to learn. I think that will just put us not at par, but it will at least bring us, because Nigerians are we're very, what's the word? What word will I use? We're doing great.
Okay.
We just need the enabling environments, the right amenities should be put in place. So if we can have internet it will go a long way to push digital literacy in our country and among youths especially.
Okay, interesting. So it all goes back to digitalization and
Right.
youth innovation at the end of the day. That's how our youths are going to thrive. So we've celebrated this year's International Day of Education. While we are reflecting, it's still ongoing somehow because this year has not come to an end. And we have to continue through with it. So one message stands out. First of all, you talked about something. I picked two things, and yes, I'm still going to hit on them about inclusion, and ensuring that youth are put in policy-making processes and ensure that they have implementation. Very important implementation. And of course, you mentioned something. Teach the learners how they want to learn. Very, very important. So we have to understand that the future of learning is not just about policies or platforms. It's about partnership. You mentioned that as well. It's about collaboration. Yes. So this is where we leave you today. You can join the conversations on our social media platform. We've had MC here, Mary Colette. I am struggling with your surname.
Osaji.
That's why you see the way I
Osaji.
Okay, Osaji. Yes, I'll do better with that next time. Osaji. We have Mary Colette here, Osaji. And yes, you've said a lot. And I've met you before. You're a wonderful person. Yes, we've seen how the struggle for, youth inclusion, youth participation and whatnot has been, especially with you. So thank you for coming once
Thank
again.
you for having
very
me.
much.
Thank
you. We
you.
hope to have you here another time when we want to talk about gender equality.
That's
Yes,
fine.
and education as well. So like I said before, join the conversations on our social media platforms at Idea TV and share your thoughts. Keep engaging with us across all our social media platforms. You can also share your thoughts with us on our via our email at ideatvlimited. So this is where we draw the curtains for today. And thank you for watching. My name is Cynthia Bassi, and of course, I've been with
Osaji Mary Colette.
And Mary,
Okay, that's how we say bye for now.
bye for now.